god, it's been so long. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Oh my god. I'm really hoping that the quality is not bad since I'm using my iPod to record, because my camera wouldn't be useless because it needs a new SD card. But yes, y'all, I missed y'all. I miss seeing y'all. I miss talking to y'all. I miss the interaction I get in every video. That's why I come back every week. Like, I will never complain that YouTube is hard because I love y'all. I fuck with y'all. So today I am back with another video, and I have gathered. I need some lip gloss. You guys, upon last video, if you guys want to see some reaction Sundays, and you guys said yes, and I was surprised, but an overwhelming amount of you guys wanted to see reaction Sundays, and so I've gathered the spookiest shit that I can find, okay, for y'all, and we're gonna be reacting to them together. Some of them are about Satanism, and I really am intrigued by it because I've watched a few documentaries about Satanists and stuff, and the stuff that they be doing, because I know, like, in America you may not find as much like voodoo or even witchcraft, but you'll find a shit ton of Satanism, okay? So with that, I have gathered some of the spookiest stories, from voodoo stories to hauntings to Satanism, and we're gonna react to them together today. Yeah. So before we even start this video, like I say in every single video, you guys want to make sure that you might not want to watch this one at night. You guys don't listen to me anyway. Sometimes I do drop these videos at night, so I'm guilty of that, but I also do it for my overnight cruise. So if you're really brave and you're really about that life and you want to watch this at night, go ahead. But just know that spiritual attacks are indeed possible, especially if you are a PUSSY and you just be psyching yourself out. Like, I really recommend you not watching these videos at night. And before we even get started into this video, I have to be the official YouTuber that I am. I am an official fucking YouTuber, okay, guys? I am an official YouTuber. Before I get started into this video, I urge you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to this channel right now. Like, stop this video. I'm gonna give you 2 seconds to subscribe to my channel. You need to subscribe. You've been watching me for how long now? And you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel? Are you using me? Are you taking advantage of me? Subscribe. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you to those of y'all who already subscribed, who've been down in this freaking alien abduction freaking station, okay? Like, we getting out the hood together. We are zooming out the hood together, okay? And if you have not already, please make sure you also go ahead and you follow me on Instagram. You can literally find the link on my page under this video in the description. Please make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers on Instagram. Here's the thing, y'all. Approximately 20,000 people watch my videos every week. I'm trying to get 2,000 of y'all. 2,000 of y'all out of 20,000 of y'all to go follow me on Instagram. This is so possible. And without me having to beg. And I've been seeing some comments saying, oh, you've been begging me to do this and do that. I have to. Yeah, I don't listen the first time. I have to. Okay, let's get started into these reactions. I'm actually so excited. So this girl, Kajsa, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, baby girl, but she is one of my favorite spooky storytellers out there. Like, her whole page is full of spooky stories. I highly recommend you check her out. I'm not sure if she's on YouTube. Let's see. Yes, she is on YouTube. She is on YouTube, and she also posts her spooky stories on YouTube. She posted a day ago. This is her YouTube page. I will also link her down below. Hopefully I remember. And let's get started into the first reaction.
Tonight's true scary story is like super creepy and weird and different. I've never heard a story like this. Make sure you are protecting yourself before and after these videos, please. Especially right now, you guys, it is incredibly important. Before I get started though, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my The link is in my link tree in my bio, where I tell scarier stories and longer versions of stories. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story, my email is in my bio. Guys, I need more scary stories right now. Today's submitter's name is Yin, and she said that I could tag her, so she will be in the description. If you have any questions or comments, she'll be in the comments. Yin is female, and she is the youngest of 6 kids. Her older sister is about 25 to 30 years older than her, so there's a huge age gap between them. This means that she was the baby of the house, and all the spooky things would only happen to her, and she would try to tell her family members about it, but no one would believe her, especially her father, because her father was religious, and so he didn't believe in that type of thing. Her parents were separated, so she barely saw her mom when she was growing up, but her mom did practice witchcraft, so she does wonder if all of the things that she has experienced have anything to do with that, and they may. So her experiences are a bunch of small, crazy things, and then one really scary thing. One day she was really tired and she decided to take a nap. Her bedroom was on the 2nd floor, and right outside her room was a hallway that led to the living room where her family was. So she's taking the nap when all of a sudden she wakes up to her family screaming her name and searching everywhere for her. She woke up outside behind the garage, sleeping on a car seat. Remember, her room was on the 2nd floor. The garage is on the main floor. The craziest thing was that in order to get to the garage, she had to pass through the living room to pass right by her family. She literally would have had to jump out her window in order for this to happen, and she had never slept walk before in her entire life, so they have no idea how she got down there. Another night, she is sleeping, and she wakes up in the middle of the night and she has this really bad feeling, so she grabs her chihuahuas that were sleeping with her and she decides that she's gonna go sleep in her dad's room. While she was walking down the hallway, the living room couch was at the very end, facing where she was, and the stairs were at the right of where she was. Now she's walking and she's walking past the couch and she sees someone sitting on the couch staring at her. Now the living room was dark, but this thing was darker, and although it had no facial features, she could tell that it was staring directly at her. She absolutely knew that this is where her bad feeling was coming from, so she runs down the stairs and she goes into her father's bedroom, but she decides not to tell her family anything because they don't believe her anyways. Now this is the part that starts to get really scary. This next part freaked me out. At this point, she was probably around 10 years old, and she was in the same room at the end of the hallway, and she was watching The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. It was around midnight, and she could hear her father in the living room having a conversation with somebody, but she wasn't really paying attention to them because she was watching TV, when all of a sudden she looks over and she sees something standing in her doorway, which is cracked open about a foot. When she looks over, she realizes that it's a woman wearing a white cut-up dress, and she described it when she was 10 years old as having red yarn for hair, which she later realized was dreads. The red dreads were just covering her face, and she was hunched over, standing there just staring at her. Now she puts into ChatGPT the information of what this woman looked like, and this is what ChatGPT came up with, and she said it was very similar. So she's just standing there staring at her, and she thinks that she's gonna go away if she just puts her blankets over her face. So she puts her blankets over her face and she's just sitting there for a few minutes, and she pulls her blankets back down thinking she's gonna be gone. But she wasn't. She was now standing in her closet. She had moved over to her closet, which was at the right of her door in her room. So now she's sitting there staring at this woman who's now standing in her closet with dreads over her face, just crouching over looking at her. This closet is also closer to her bed, so she had come closer to her. So she puts her blankets over her face again, and she's just praying to God that her dad's gonna come into her room. She can still hear her dad talking to whoever he's talking to in the living room. Now she still has the covers over her face when all of a sudden she hears the woman slowly start walking over to her bed. Then she eventually sees her shadow leaning over her. She can see it through the blanket. So now this woman is literally standing over her and leaning over her covers right next to her face. At this point, she absolutely starts screaming her head off. She is so scared. Her dad comes into the room and he's like, "What's going on?" And she tells him what she saw. And he, of course, is like, "You were dreaming." And she's like, "I was not dreaming. I'm awake right now. I was watching TV." Meanwhile, this was all happening while The Sweet Life of Zach on Deck is playing in the background. Now, this was an interesting one, you guys. What do you think this was? I've never heard a description of anything like this before. It's normally like ladies with long black hair and white dresses, but a lady in a cut-up white dress with red dreads over her face that is terrorizing you, that is different. So what do you guys think that this was? She has no idea what this was, and she would also like to know because this is so weird. So anyone, in case you're wondering, I am okay today. Yesterday was scary for me. I do feel very tired today for some reason, like incredibly tired. You can probably see it in my face. That's it though. I haven't had anything else happen to me, but I do think it's really weird that I'm so exhausted. But other than that, my name is Kajsa, and I tell true scary stories that you guys submit to me on here every single night. So if you like that.
What do you guys think that was? That was weird. Somebody is haunting our girl. But while we're on the topic of spooky things, y'all, yeah, lately, like the past 2 days, a girl been having some sleep paralysis. I I don't understand why. It doesn't scare me anymore. And when I am having it, there's no entity at the door anymore. It's just like I feel like I can't move. And then today, my soul lifted out of my body. I was like, oh my God. I was standing there, I was looking at myself sleep. That's not the first time that happened, but I was standing there, I was looking at myself sleep. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do what I did the first time and just try to like get back inside of my body. And then I was like, well, I know that's not gonna work. So then I got up. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have a good time because I hear this is astral projection right now. So I got up and I was standing and everything looked exactly the same. So like I was standing in this corner of my room while my body was laying on my bed. And like I could see my body laying, like the position I was laying in and everything. It was kind of freaky actually. But the only thing that was different was like my bed, like I lay up here. So like my head is up here, but for whatever reason, I was like towards the edge of the bed, towards the foot of the bed. I wasn't like, laying in like exactly where I was actually laying. But I was looking at myself. I was like, oh my God. Okay, like where can we go now? And for some reason, in the dream, I wanted to go back to my mom and my aunt hanging out for some reason. That's where I asked to go. And then it happened like a freaking movie where like like static happened, and then so fast, like it was so fast, I was transported to Haiti, and my mom bringing my aunt food, which I have to call her and ask her if that ever happened. But that was pretty much it. I didn't get to. It's so crazy because I saw the conversation and I was listening to the conversation, and I understood them in my dream, but now I can't remember what they were saying. I can't remember what they were talking about. And then I woke up. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but I know that younger me, that would have scared the shit out of me. I'm not even gonna lie to you, that would have scared the crap out of me. But this was the first time that I had sleep paralysis I had sleep paralysis where I was able to like get up and like walk around. Because the first time I did it, I sat up in college already. I must have been like 18, 19 as a matter of fact. Yeah, and this was around the time I was hanging out with this girl. We're gonna call her Possible. I was hanging out with this girl named Possible, and she used to tell me all the time she used to have sleep paralysis. Like, it's like every single night she lays down, she used to have sleep paralysis. Now, mind you, Possible is a Christian, okay? She was a diehard Seventh-day Adventist. Wait, Seventh Day. She was a Seventh Day, okay? Adventist. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Sabbath. So she's not Christian. But I know her religion was real strict, okay? Something about sun up and sundown on Saturdays, she couldn't come outside. And then on Sundays, she was busy with church all day. Like, she was really about church, this girl. But when she used to tell me about, like, her dreams and stuff, I'm like, girl, where is God when you're sleeping? Because Possible was the first person to tell me about like the sleep paralysis and like the dreams that she was having. And that was my first time hearing about sleep paralysis, and it scared me to death. I remember like it was late, we were sitting at a cafe, and Possible was just telling me all these stories, and I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Like, this never happened to me before. This is so scary. This is so spooky. I went home. It didn't happen to me that day. I want to say maybe a couple of days later, y'all, I had the scariest experience. I had the scariest sleep paralysis experience, and it shook me to my core. So if you guys haven't heard this story already, it was pretty much, yeah, I used to work at the Gap at the time. And so I used to go to the gym. I woke up, went to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And Possible told me that story. So I went to the gym, and I came back home from the gym, and I remember I had 2 hours before I had to get to work. So I took my shower, and then I slept, and then I took a nap. I decided to take a nap. So I crawled into my sister's bed. At the time, we had a bunk bed, so it was the bottom bunk, and then I used to sleep on the top bunk. My sister hated it when I used to sleep on her bed. But me being me, my sister wasn't home. Nobody was home. I had the free. Keep this in mind, y'all. Nobody was home. I had the free. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sleep on my sister's bed. So I crawled into my sister's bed, put my blanket on real comfortable, and I drifted asleep. So the first thing that happened was when I drifted asleep, to my knowledge, I'm not asleep. I'm up because there was no transition between being awake and falling asleep. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. But I'm laying there, and I wasn't aware that I couldn't move at first, but I'm just hearing everything going on in the background. So I'm hearing my sister come home. I'm hearing my father come home. I hear my father come home, and he left. And I hear my sister come home, and I'm laying there. I don't want to move because I'm like, damn, she's going to see me in her bed, and she's going to get mad. So let me act like I'm asleep. So then I hear her walk into the room, and I feel something reach over me, and I'm assuming she reached over me to grab the charger that was like, you know, next to me at the time. But I remember something reach on over me and grab the thing, but I remember feeling anxious, like something's not right. So then that's when I like turned around and tried to move, and that's when I realized that I could not move. I couldn't move, nothing. So I'm just hearing my sister in the background, and then somehow I start feeling the presence of my mom. I'm like, no, at this point I know my mom's not here, so nah, I don't know what's going on. So at this point, this is when my freak out started to happen. Like I really start freaking out. That's when I realized that the only thing that I really could move was my eyes. Like I could move them from side to side, up and down, and close them. So when I looked to the side, the door was like, there was a crack in the door, and I could tell that there was a figure standing at the door. It was absolutely freaking horrifying. So I tried to close my eyes. Like I'm closing my eyes, I'm shutting them, trying to like force myself back to sleep, yo. And it's not freaking working. Nothing is like, I just feel like the figure is gonna get closer to me if I keep opening my eyes to look. Like it just felt freaky. And I don't know what happened, but there was like a feeling of calmness that came over me in that moment where I was just like, just calm down, just calm down. And as I started to calm down, I woke up. And then that's when I realized it was all a dream. And after that happened, I was horrified of going to sleep. I was horrified of going to sleep. Do you understand? Like, oh my God, that was a horrible time. And then it did wind up happening again. That time a couple of days later, I think that honestly it was all, I psyched myself out because Possible Stories was all just what, like I was psyching myself out. Because a couple of days later, it winded up happening again. At this time, though, I was in my bed. I took a nap. It was like 7 a.m. Took a nap, and my sister was up. She was sleeping underneath me, but she was laying down, but she was up on her phone or whatever. I drifted asleep, and I feel like I was getting up. I was waking up, and I'm trying to wake up, but everything feels loopy. Like it kind of feels like, you know, when you're trying to go to sleep, but you're drunk, so everything is like spinning. It kind of felt like everything is loopy. And then I like tried to sit up, and I felt unusually light. Like I felt like a feather. Like I yoked right up. And I was like, yo, that feels weird. So then I looked down, and mind you, everything, I feel smacked. Like the best way I could put it, like I feel like I joked up, and then I looked down, and my body is laying right there. That was like the first time my soul actually, you know? So, but I didn't get all the way up, though. I didn't get all the way up. I didn't leave my body because I was too scared. I was like, if I get up and I leave my body and something else come and takes over my body, like, absolutely not. So I just literally sat there on top of my body. And then I knew that there was something at the door. I knew it was there. It was psyching me out. So I looked over, and yep, the motherfucker with the top hat was right there by the door. And I was just like, so I tried to lay back in my body. I'm laying back down. It's not working. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, don't freak out. Just like the first time, don't freak out. And then I stopped freaking out. And then I woke up again. And then I was like, what the hell? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And then it proceeded on happening a couple of times. And then the guy just kind of stopped scaring me. The random guy was like, yo, one time it happened, I was like, yo, if you're here to take me, just take me. At this point, you're daunting me. This is daunting. I don't like this. And I hadn't had sleep paralysis since. And lately, I don't know if it's because maybe I've been, again, watching videos about this and doing these spooky stories, so I'm psyching myself out, but it was interesting. Morning when I had the nap was the first time that I actually was able to exit, not be scared, and actually say like, oh, I want to see this or this. When honestly, I remember in that moment, I didn't even know where I really wanted to go. So I just picked something random. But anyway, this is not about me. This is a reaction video. So let's move on to the next reaction.
Let me tell you something you need to know about your birthday. I'm gonna repeat it. Let me tell you something you need to know about your birthday. If you see that you've been struggling the whole year, you only have one day to make sure that everything that you wanted or whatever you are looking for, you only have one day. Is the day that you were born. Did I say born? No, born. B-O-R-N. Okay? This day is your birthday. I don't know when is your birthday, but let me tell you something that you need to know about that day. If you are been struggling, if you can't get pregnant, if you're looking for a husband, if you trying to buy a house, if you name it, on the day that you were born, make sure that you wake up early. And if tomorrow is your birthday, happy birthday. On the day that you were born, which is your birthday, make sure you wake up early in the morning. But before doing that, try not to have a physical fight with anybody. Try not to have a verbal fight with anybody. Make sure that your mind is free. On the day that you were born, on that day, you wake up early in the morning. Pee in a pen, any pen. Use your urine. Pee on that. Get a blank paper. Write the name, write the date you were born 7 times. In the back of this paper, whatever you want, write everything in the back. Make sure you get some cinnamon. You pour it on the paper. You burn it until you don't see nothing. And when you burn it, there's something, I don't know how you call that in English, but in my country we call that sun. When you burn the paper, the ashes, I think, you make sure you pour it in the pee. The first pee, that when you wake up in the morning. And then you talk to that pee. You tell that pee, your urine is something that's very powerful, people. Whatever you want, you talk to the pee in front of a mirror. And after that, you take a shower with your own pee. You might think I'm crazy. You're going to smell like pee. But once it hit 12 p.m. in the afternoon, you go ahead and take a shower with a bottle of Florida water. You remove the smell of the pee on you. And then go anywhere your guardian angel sent you. Watch and see what's going to happen. The job you are looking for, you're gonna get it. The money you are looking for, you're gonna get it. The husband you are looking for, you're gonna get it. The boyfriend, whatever you are looking for, you're going to get it, because the day you were born is a very powerful day. But some of you guys waste it. If I tell you what I did for my wife, you will not believe me. But I will tell her to come, and she's gonna tell you what I give her on her birthday. Let me call her. This is my wife. What did I give you for your birthday?
I don't think it's a good idea to say what.
It's
you
not
gave
safe,
me.
people. It's not safe.
His wife for her birthday. I mean, I'm not doubting this. I've never heard of this before. I personally, I don't do voodoo. That's like my family grounds. I personally, I'm not aware of any of this stuff. So I don't doubt that it may work, but like, don't we think that there's maybe like another way that's like, you know, more stomachable? Maybe.
Did any of you
Let's
have
move on. For those of y'all who likes the haunted doll stories, I've got more. Well, this one was very interesting, so of course I had to select this one out the bunch, but yes.
Did any of you have this type of like Barbie head that you can style growing up? If you have one, or maybe your kid has one now, yeah, don't listen to this story. So this happened back in the 80s when this lady was a little girl. She was the only girl in the family. She had 2 older brothers. She mentions how her bedroom was right across from her brother's bedroom, so the doors faced each other. Her brothers did share a room while she had her own bedroom. Also, it's important to mention that the bedrooms didn't have doors. What they would do is put curtains where the door should be. I remember having a curtain on my door once, but that was only because my mom took the door. She took the door to my room. Anyway, she played with this doll head so much that every night when she would go to bed, her mom would pick up that doll head and put it on top of her dresser so that she doesn't play with it all night in bed. So there was one night when the younger brother woke everybody up in that household because he was crying uncontrollably. Obviously, the parents were worried. They ran straight to the bedroom, and when they got there, they asked him what was wrong, why is he crying? And he told them that when he was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, he saw when that Barbie head peeked into his bed. Why did I get chills? The Barbie head peeked into his bedroom from the sister's room. He described it almost as if somebody was holding that Barbie head and just inclined it this way. So I guess like literally, I can't even do the motion. I just scared myself. Anyway, he described it as if like somebody had grabbed that head and inclined it this way, so it looked like it was peeking, which obviously is impossible for that doll to do because it would have fallen. It's only like a head. As he's crying, he's like, she was staring at me almost like she knew I was awake, and she peeked into the room. And it was basically impossible for someone to have hidden behind that Barbie to incline her, because again, she was up against that dresser. Even if it was the little sister, she would have been visible from his bedroom. And to no one's surprise, the parents did not believe him. His older brother that also slept in that bedroom did not believe him either. However, with time, that older brother started to believe because some weird shit happened to him as well. So there was one night where the older brother couldn't fall asleep, and something just told him to look towards his little sister's door. He saw the same thing that his brother claimed to have seen, which is that doll head kind of, you know, inclined looking towards the bedroom. But it wasn't just that. It was not just that. He stared back at her because he wanted to make sure, like, is somebody holding her? Is she really moving? Is it me? And when he is staring at this Barbie's head, he said that the Barbie started making faces at him. He described it as like mocking faces, that like sticking her tongue out at him and doing like silly faces. Bro, that would have scared the I wake up, I turn, I look at my Barbie. The Barbie's like, that's the only thing I could think of. What other faces could she have done? What other faces? That would have scared me. That would have been it. Now that I think of it, that bitch has no arms. You have no arms, bitch. I'm a fuck you up. Okay, 34-year-old Letty would have fucked her up, but like 12-year-old Letty would have been dying of a heart attack. He also mentions how her mouth would move in like weird angles, almost as if she was trying to say something to him. And by that point, the little brother had also seen those facial expressions that Barbie was making as well. And of course, the older brother went and told his parents. He wanted to tell them that the little brother was not lying. He also saw that doll moving and making facial expressions, and of course they didn't believe them. On the contrary, they got in trouble for making these things up. They basically told them, you better not come to us and tell us that Barbie's moving again or you'll be in big trouble. What's the punishment? I get to sleep in the room with you? Okay, bitch, punish me. What's the punishment? You're taking me to sleep in a new home? Take me right now. So the parents didn't believe them until one night where the dad stayed up by himself, and when he was walking down the hallway, he felt as if somebody was behind him. Immediately he turns around to look, and he could have sworn that he saw something peeking from on top of a dresser. The dad could have sworn that he thought it was that doll head that he saw move. You're a liar, you're making things up, and if you bring this up again, you're gonna be in big trouble, mister. Obviously, it was that moment where it finally scared the dad, where the family decided to get rid of this doll head. So where they lived, the trash people only came on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so they had left the trash and that doll head out there, and it wasn't trash day, so it was just gonna sit out there until the trash came. So while the doll was still outside in the trash, their grandmother came for a visit, and as she was passing by the trash, she saw this like perfectly clean and new doll head on top of the trash can. She pulled it out and asked them why they were gonna throw it away, and her son, the dad, didn't want to tell her why, so he just said it was because the daughter didn't want to play with the doll anymore. So the grandmother decided that she was gonna take it to her home because she had this bedroom that she called the old doll room, and she basically had a whole collection of dolls. She cleaned that doll head up and put it inside of that room. And surprise, surprise, after she put that doll head into that bedroom, weird sounds would start coming from that room. The lady that's telling us the story, obviously that was her doll, and she said that she personally never heard any noise in her grandmother's room where that doll was, but her grandmother and her aunt did hear noises coming from there. She explains that her cousins would also say that they would hear weird sounds coming from that room. They would spend the night at the grandmother's home, and while they were sleeping, they could almost hear like plastic bumping into things in that room. However, they were already scared of that room altogether since there was like old dolls all in there, and they did not dare to go in there and figure out what that noise was. With time, the mom of the girl was like, I cannot not tell them why we got rid of that doll. So she did end up telling the grandmother and the aunt why they got rid of the doll, and obviously they were like, oh my god, so it has to be that doll that's making those noises in that room. However, the grandmother decided not to get rid of that doll. She obviously did believe in the paranormal, but she was not about to be scared of it, so she decided that she was going to keep it in her house so that no one else has to deal with this doll. By the way, the grandmother lived by herself in that house, so yeah, that lady was not scared of the doll. That doll ended up staying with her until her final days, and the grandmother passed away. So grandmother passed away and left that house to her aunt, and her aunt first day took all of the grandmother's collection, including that doll head, and basically got rid of everything. She says that the aunt never told anybody what she did with it. They have not seen that doll head ever since. Yeah, that is a crazy fucking story. I feel like I would die if I were to see that Barbie head just like blah, blah, making crazy ass faces at me. But what do you guys think?
The creepiest story sent to me today. I'm not for sure if she wants her name told or not, so we're just gonna call her B, and if she shows up in the comments, then that's great. So when she was around 8 or 9, they were having to move houses, and she was living in Chicago at the time, and they had some pets, so they weren't able to just like move into an apartment or anything. Well, they asked a family friend to keep the pets, and then they ended up renting this house. Instantly, day one, they move into this rental house, and things start happening. They had like a teapot or something sitting on the shelf, and it just kind of flew right at them. At first, the mom thought the dad was doing it, but turns out, no, it wasn't the dad. She said that the neighbors weren't really like friendly or anything. They just kind of had that bless their heart kind of mentality to them. So they never really like talked to them much or did anything, which will come into play in a minute. The entire time they're living there, they're there for about a year. All kinds of ghostly activities happening, you know, hearing things, seeing things out of the corner of your eye, just little stuff like that. And still the neighbors are kind of keeping their distance, right? Well, after a year, the lease is up. So the mom decides, like, hey, I really like this place. Even though we have little creepy things happen, I want to buy the house. The dad buys the house. Then 3 days after they sign, one of the neighbors comes over and says, oh my God, I can't believe you bought this house. The neighbor then tells them that the family that lived there before was a husband, wife, and 3 kids. The wife was a female police officer for Chicago. One night, her husband and the 3 kids were already at Chuck E. Cheese. She was supposed to meet them there, but she was going to go home first, shower, change, and everything, then go meet them there. But instead, she comes home, stays in uniform, takes her, and ends herself, you know. In their bedroom, which just happened to be B's mom and dad's bedroom. Immediately they're like, what the hell, right? So they go into the house, go into the bedroom, and then they find the hole in the wall. They didn't even like fill it in, they just kind of painted over it. So now that they own the house, they're able to bring their pets in and everything. So they go back to the friends that was watching them, get the dog. The dog had been living its best life and is now expecting, okay? So they needed a place to put the dog, and it was wintertime in Chicago. So they go downstairs to the basement. They're moving things around to clear out to make a spot for the dog when they find this drum that has a canvas like pulled over the top of it and has all of this satanic drawings on it. Yeah. Her mom gets sick. She has some kind of autoimmune disorder where she keeps getting clots, so she has trouble going up and down the stairs. So she decides to sleep on the couch. Well, then one night while she's on the couch, her dad swears that he felt someone get into the bed with him. Now remember, that's the previous owner's bedroom too, right? Get into the bed, and then he thought he heard like snoring and stuff. Turns out wasn't the mom. Now, B's bedroom was across from the bathroom, and she said this time she was like 12, 13, something like that. So she would always sleep with the door open, and then she would watch TV, and then the TV was near the bedroom door or whatever, so that when she was watching the TV, she could also see directly into the bathroom. Well, when she would decide that she was ready to go to bed or whatever, she would roll over, keep the TV on. Well, then one night at like 2 a.m, she rolls back towards the TV and to get like a cup of water or something off of her nightstand, and then she's looking directly into the bathroom when she sees this woman sitting on a closed lid toilet, sitting there with like crying, with like her hands on her face and her elbows on her knees, and her hair's like hanging down. She's staring at this woman when this woman like just like looks up at her and then starts like crawling out of the bathroom towards B's room. And as soon as she gets to the threshold of B's room, her bedroom door slams shut. As if that wasn't enough, okay? So then things keep going. Her mom gets progressively worse. She's in and out of the hospital. Then she would be home late at night by herself. So she would have her friends come over to like hang out with her. Well, her friends were there one night and they hear like some big loud noise down in the basement. They go down there and there's like this massive like dresser piece of furniture that was like huge, she said, was thrown from like one side of the room to the other. Scares the shit out of the friends. The friends are like, you know, this sucks for you, but we're out of here. They leave her. She leaves with them, goes outside, stands on the front yard, you know, whatever. She's calling her dad like over and over again. She says she calls her dad like 5 times. She keeps turning around looking back to the house, and then that's when that friggin' bathroom light comes on. The bathroom where that woman was at, the bathroom light comes on. So she's talking to her dad. She's like, you know, pretty much like, oh shit, the bathroom light just came on. And while she's talking to her dad, she can see like someone in the house walking around, but no one was there. Her mom was in the hospital, her dad was at work, and she was standing on the front lawn. Probably thinking, okay, that's gotta be it, right? No. Remember how I told you the drum was in the basement with all the satanic stuff on it? There was one window in the basement, like a little window that would fill up with flies. Okay? Yeah, we all know what that means. So they lived there for like ever, but then when they finally like moved and sold the house, everything stopped. It all stayed at that house. I love this story. For 1, 2, it's terrifying. If you got more stories like this, send them to me. I love them. I can't get enough of them.
That segues us into the next segue. Into the next part of the spookiness. So, as you can see, I've done laid out a blanket on my bed, because I do eat on my bed. I know, like, people are going to judge me, but I do eat on my bed. But I always, you know, make sure, like, I don't get food on my bed. So I just use, like, I literally changed my sheets yesterday. So I'm using one of my older sheets to... I went to the boil yesterday, okay? And I got work in like 30 minutes. So I would like to get some seafood on, if that's okay with y'all. That's okay with y'all, right? That should be okay with y'all. All right, let's move on to the next story while I heat this up.
Okay, so for starters, this is a little bit different from the original content that I do post on my TikTok, but I feel as though somebody gotta hear this story, bitch. So this is about a time that me and my friends walked into what we felt like was a satanic ritual downtown LA. So I had just moved to Inglewood, California to be exact in October of 2019, and this specific incident took place in March of 2020. This is around spring break. Originally, me and my friend was supposed to go to Miami, but some shit ended up taking place, so they decided to come to California for a week instead. And because I'm fairly new to California, I use this app to find places and stuff like that. Whether it's the club, bar, somewhere out to eat, somewhere fun to go, I would use this specific app. So with my friends, they finally get there. Everything is all good. We're having a great time. And into their third day of being there, my homeboy was like, hey, y'all, let's go get tattoos. So me being me, I'm like, baby, you ain't got to say a fuck thing else. Let's go. So I get on this app that I normally use, and I find a tattoo shop that's nearest to us. This one happened to be the one that is located downtown Los Angeles. It was about a 25 to 30-minute drive. Not that far, but because of traffic, it was far. Mind you, the location that we booked, when we got there, the Uber driver was like, the exact address doesn't have like car access. There's no like street access, so you guys have to get out and walk. With it being LA and we know like some of the streets are crowded, we was like, okay, cool, that's fine. So we get out and walk. It's about 2 blocks over and then down this alley, but the alley seemed as though it had other businesses on the street because we weren't the only people walking on the strip. So I finally pull out my phone. I'm like, okay, y'all, this is the building right here. The picture matched the building, but remind you, the ad that was on the app, it didn't have any reviews. But I was like, okay, it could be new and upcoming. That's totally fine. We still gonna go. We done paid our money to get here. Let's go. So the windows to the building were spray painted jet black, as if you cannot see in, and if you were in the inside, you cannot see out. And the doors to the building were like these heavy ass arch doors. And the doors are white, the windows are black. So I didn't have the strength to open these motherfucking doors. So my 2 homeboys, they like, y'all move back, we got it. So they open the door. The doors are heavy as fuck, mind you. We finally get through these doors and we have to pull the doors open. And as soon as you get into the room, there's like 3 footsteps worth of space, and then it turns directly into a incline of stairs. And when I say the stairs are steep, they're fucking steep. It's like it went from the 1st floor directly to the 3rd floor. There was no 2nd floor. And the painting in this fucking room was seamless. One, there were no windows. It's like the windows that were behind us did not exist because they were spray painted jet black on the inside and outside. The stairs were black, the wall was black, the ceiling was black, and there was a light at the top of the ceiling, but the room was so black that it's as if the light was not really there. It didn't shine any other color but the darkness of the room. So the door finally closes behind us, and we're talking as we're walking up the steps, and all you can hear is the echo of our footsteps and the echo of our voice. But we was like, you know what, bitch, we already here, let's go. So we get to the top of the steps, and this time, instead of you having to pull the doors open, you have to push the doors open. And before we could even open the door, there's this music that was catchy, but we couldn't make out what the fuck it was. Like, it's as though the music was mesmerizing, but you couldn't understand what the fuck it was. So we finally opened the doors. I shit y'all not. When we opened the doors, there was this big, spacious, rectangle studio. The floors were like a glossy, all white. The walls were white, and the ceiling were white, and there were like bright white lights everywhere. Even the furniture in this fucking room was bright white. even the pillars that were centered in the middle of the studio was bright white. There was a few things that was not white, but because it wasn't white, it made it stand out. So there were like carcasses of like dead animals that were on the wall, on different places on the wall. Majority of these animals did have horns. And on each animal, smack dead in the middle of the motherfucking forehead, was a symbol. It was a circle and it was a star, but it wasn't a 5-point star. And these symbols were painted in black. That was the first thing I noticed. And then if you shift your attention a little bit over this way, right here on the Bible, God strike me down if I'm lying. There were about 7 to 9 people that were in a circle. They were in this circle, and on the floor was that same symbol. The black symbol, the circle with the star. But this time, the star that was on the floor, each point of the star was lit with the candle. And in the physical realm, I would have hauled ass. But it's like whatever music that was playing had all of us lined up, stuck in a fucking trance. And I'm like, can't fucking move. And I can only move my eyes, and I'm looking at this group surrounded, like they had cloaks on, and the cloaks were fucking black, and the top of the cloaks were pointy, but the face was covered. Like you couldn't see this part of the face, only like this part. The cloak hung down like this, where you can see this much of their profile. And in the center of this fucking circle was a man that was naked, and he was pale as fucking cocaine on the floor with a white pair of underwear on. But he was sitting like on his knees, if that makes sense. And he had his fucking head down. And it took my homegirl to say, what the fuck? For me to snap out of that fucking trance and realize what the fuck was going on. And it's like I fucking grew angel wings, bitch. Cause the way I flew down the motherfucking flights of stairs, it's like them hoes never existed. Like I floated. I don't even know how the fuck I got down them stairs without breaking my fucking neck. That's how fast I was running. So after we get outside, we shaking the fuck up. We're shook on what the fuck we was just about to experience. So we like, yeah, let's go home, and we cutting out activity. We didn't want to do anything for the rest of the day. So we get home, and we was all really kind of shaking up that we really didn't even want to talk about it neither, because we all were trying to make sense of what the fuck we just saw, what the fuck we walked into. And it's like the music that was playing was still fucking playing. So it comes to the end of the vacation. This is like the day before they're about to leave. And one of the guys, my homeboy, I love him to death. He's mixed, but he's more than he is. So he was like, y'all, I can't really just go home without knowing what the fuck was going on. Like, that just don't sit well with me. So I'm like, yeah, let that hoe go by himself. So in the end, they end up talking me into going with them. So y'all, we go back. The scariest thing is, y'all, it's as if we had walked into a fucking portal. It's as if the fucking place was never there. And what I mean is, the windows that were once black were a sparkly fucking white. On top of it, this new place was a boutique. The boutique was up and running, had customers, it was fully furnished. No stairs. And it was the same exact address. But it's as if the place that we had originally went to was demolished, or it was used as a setup. And to this day, I shit y'all not, I cannot go back in my iCloud and find the app. And I've had the same iCloud since even before then. I cannot find the app. And then even when I try to Google tattoo shops that are in the area, I can't even find the place. So to this day, it's still a mystery for all of us. And even scarier is that same mesmerizing sound. Sometimes it still plays in my head. I don't know the meaning of it, but that's my story. Tell me what y'all think.
This one actually has me shook. What? No. This one I had to like search for it because there's not like really much on like satanic stuff, but this story actually had me shaking in my boots. Like, this one was scary. What do you guys think that was? What do you guys think that was? That was reminiscent of, for me, now this is not a satanic ritual of any sort. Again, I briefly spoke about this before, so if you're like an OG, then you probably know this story. But Saint Walk, where my father's side of the family lives in Haiti, I used to, like, when I used to go up there to like stay and stuff like that, like there was like these kids that I acquainted myself with, you know, because I used to like leave and like go on adventures and things like that. I acquainted myself with these kids, and I used to like, you know, go to like their house and things like that, like chill with their family, eat their food and all that good stuff. So one day I went home and I told my grandfather, I was like, yeah, like I met some kids, you know, because they used to like tease me, like I'm so popular, like I meet everybody, I make friends everywhere I go. I'm like, yeah, I just made another friend, I made like some good friends, blah blah. They live like not too far from here. We're like, who? Where? I'm like, not too far from here, like down the road. They're like, there's nobody that lives like within miles from here. I'm like, yes, there is. So the next time we had to go from point A to point B, we was gonna go to the next part of like Kajsa to see the other side of my family. We're supposed to like, we're walking and we're supposed to be walking past this house, because I'm like, we're headed in the direction that my friends are staying in, and I'm telling my grandfather this. He's like, okay. Y'all, we kept walking. I remember the tree. It was like this house was located near a tree. We walked past what I thought was the tree, and there was no houses there. There was no one there. I was like, Grandpa, it was right there. My grandpa's like, sure it was. Like, but no, there was no house there. We passed it and then went back, nothing. And ever since then, never saw those kids again and never saw that house again. What the hell that was? I don't know. You have to tell me.
This happened in Venezuela. Just in case you want to see my earrings. This lady says that this is a story that her grandmother shared with her. So she says that her grandmother used to work at this flea market stand. So she would usually leave around 4 or 4:30 in the morning just to get there early. Her grandmother also used to give the neighbor rides because the neighbor also worked at the flea market, just at a different stand. So the grandmother says that on this particular morning, it was 4 a.m. She got in her car and she drove towards her neighbor's house. But when she got there, the neighbor was already standing outside. She did seem like she was waiting for her grandmother to get there. However, she was in a nightgown. She says that her hair was a mess and that she just looked very strange. The neighbor ends up telling her grandmother that she wouldn't be going to work that day. The grandmother was a little bit worried, so she did ask her if she was okay, and the neighbor just said, I'm fine, and that was it. The grandmother did end up leaving, and she was about to be a little bit late, so she was rushing towards the flea market. When she gets to the flea market, she's a little surprised because her neighbor is already there. She was standing there with her uniform on and ready to work. So the lady sees the grandmother, goes up to her and says, I am so sorry I wasn't there. I had to leave the house early because I had to get some stuff and then come to work. Obviously the grandmother was in shock but decided to tell the lady what just occurred outside of her house. However, this lady didn't take her seriously. After hearing what occurred outside her house, how I had just seen you were in a nightgown, your hair was a mess, you said you weren't going to come to work, this lady just started laughing, didn't take her seriously, and was like, maybe you ran into my double. The grandmother said that after that day, she never saw that lady the same way again. She literally stopped hanging out with this lady altogether. And also, before this incident happened, the grandmother had already heard that people were talking about how this lady did witchcraft. And after what had just occurred, you know, her grandmother said that she did believe what the people were saying about this lady. What do you think that was? Was it her doppelganger, or was it something completely different? What do you guys think?
This is the story of Dear David. The story begins in 2017 with a single tweet from user Adam Ellis that reads, So my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child, and he's trying to kill me. Adam explains that he suffers from sleep paralysis, and has lately been plagued by the image of a boy sitting in the green rocking chair at the foot of his bed. He describes the boy as having a large, misshapen head with a dent in the side. Ellis is an illustrator and provides us with this image of the boy, which he's drawn from memory. The dreams continue until the boy shambles out of the chair towards his bed. Adam wakes, screaming. He then describes another dream he has a few nights later, in which he meets a woman in a library. The woman approaches him and greets him with only, "You've seen Dear David, haven't you?" Adam then asks who she means, and she responds, "Dear David, you saw him." She continues to explain, "He's dead. He only appears at midnight, and you can ask him 2 questions if you say Dear David first. But you can never ask him a 3rd question, or he'll kill you." Understandably, the revelation frightens Adam, but his life continues normally for a few weeks. Until one night, he dreams of the dead boy in the rocking chair, staring at him while he sleeps by the foot of his bed. But this time, Adam says, "Dear David, how did you die?" David responds, "An accident. In a store." Adam asks another question. "Dear David, what happened in the store?" David groans. "A shelf was pushed on my head." Adam asks his 3rd and final question. "Who pushed the shelf?" David doesn't answer. Adam realized what he'd done. He's asked the 3rd question, and he wakes up terrified. This is just the beginning of Adam's terrifying ordeal with Dear David.
And you're probably like, "Oh no, you're gonna leave us hanging?" Well, if you actually haven't seen or heard of the Dear David story, it was all made up. The guy used to work for like BuzzFeed. He was a screenwriter, an illustrator. It was all made up. So I did already put the story in my archive, and then I did more further research about it, and then that's when I found out that it was all a ruse. And I was like, no. On this channel, we investigate true stories. I'm not in control of what people submit to me, like the stories that people submit to me. Some of them I read ahead of time. Some of them I honestly don't. And I just try my best to pick the most entertaining ones, honestly, the most terrifying ones. But he was lying, so there we go. Yes, life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, first of all. And if you made it this far in the video, please leave me a comment letting me know that you did make it this far into this video. And I swear I'm not teasing y'all with merch. You know, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to come out with it one day, and it's just going to be that. Like I said, in every single video, I love you, that's ghetto. I love you, my abducted humans, okay? You guys know that. I love you guys more every single day. Thank you guys for watching this video. I will be dropping another video for you guys next week. I did pick like the best types of stories that I could find for y'all to give y'all the spooks on this spooky Sunday, okay? We are doing Reaction Sunday on a spooky Sunday. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I hope this video convinced you at least to subscribe to my channel, because you're gonna get more of the spooky stuff. Please subscribe to my channel, and after you subscribe, go ahead on over to my Instagram page, and please, I just need 2,000 more followers, guys. Please follow me on Instagram just so that I know that it's real. Duh. I love you guys. All right, ciao.